this is the evolution of milking cows, and this is how milking began. Do you all know where your milk came from? That's on the shelf in the store.
Yes.
Where did it come from?
Dairy farms.
Very good.
From a cow.
Dairy farms. Cows live on dairy farms.
Okay, so this is where it began. In 300 BCE, the ancient Egyptians began milking, and they actually used wheat stems, and they inserted them into the cow's teats as to act as dilators, and the milk freely flowed out. This obviously wasn't a good mechanism. It caused a lot of disease, and it also damaged the cow. So after using the wheat stems, they went to wooden tubes, which they hollowed out. They also used feather quills, and then they began in the 19th century. They started to use silver, ivory, and bone. So as I said, this wasn't very safe for the cow. It ruined the sphincter muscles in the teat, which allowed the milk to freely flow out at any point in the day, even when the cow wasn't to be milked. It also caused a lot of diseases with the cows. So also with these tubes, they used a rubber tube that connected to whatever type of tube that they wanted to use, and it directed the milk into the pails. Also, the other basic way that some people used back in the olden day was your basic hands in a pail. And then we moved to machine milkers, and this first started in 1860. And Lee Colvin was the first one to create a machine milker, but it wasn't like an actual machine. So he had a milker, and it was a rubber cup, and he put it on the cow, and it was a pump on the pail. So when you pump the pail, it would just suction the milk out. So it was like a vacuum, a really strong vacuum. And Anna Baldwin also had the same concept, but she was the one that got it patented. So hers was a large rubber cup that went the whole way over the milker, over the udder, all the 4 teats. It was just one cup, and it suctioned, it vacuumed the udder. But this was a harmful way to the cow, just like the tubes, because it damaged the mammary tissue, which is very fragile in the cow. Then we moved on to 2 categories of milkers, which was a mechanical pressure device that was imitated hand milking, and then there was a vacuum device that imitated a nursing calf. So milking machines today have come a long way. 30 years after Baldwin and Colvin's invention, the suction milker was created, which is this one, and it's meant to hang suspended underneath the cow, and it will suction. This one is a lot more safer. In 1898, the USDA approved the pulsating milking machine, but there was a large controversy over this, as they thought that it would damage the quality of milk and also the production of milk. It would decrease the production of milk. But eventually they got it approved and everything, so then they started with these milkers. The first pulsating milker was called a thistle milking machine, and it was a steam-driven vacuum. So now we have pipeline systems that have a vacuum system in them, and you hook the milker up to the pipeline, and there's a vacuum and a suction, and the milker pulsates and sucks the milk out of the cow. It's safe. So automatic milking systems is what was just invented. They were invented in the late 20th century, and they're basically robots. So the cows walk in, and a sensor detects the cow. It tells what cow it is, if the cow's treated or not, if the cow's been milked yet. Before the cow enters in, there are automatic gates, and it'll let the cows in. If the sensor detects that the cow has been milked already, it'll send the cow out, and another cow will come in. Usually the cows are forced in. They're not forced in, but there's food there, so they're enticed in with the food. Once the cow gets in, the robot hands will detect the cow, and it'll clean the cow and everything and make sure the cow is ready to be milked. And then it puts the milker on, lets the cow milked, and it'll tell, milking machines will tell when the cow has been finished milking, it'll take the milker off of the cow. So this was what the arm would be, and this is all the sensor here. This is like the computer screen here that tells you everything about the cow. So obviously, this is the newest way. So in conclusion, it's all up to the farmer on what way they want to milk. Obviously, no one does hand milking or the stems anymore because it's just a silly way. There's a lot of ways that the cow could get a disease, mastitis, and easily be hurt and possibly die. So most people don't use hand milking anymore unless a cow goes down. I know on our farm we do milk by hand if the cow goes down and we can't get her up to get her in a stall. And then we also with the newer milking systems, the automated milking systems, it is less contact with humans, so that the farmers really don't know what is going on with their cows. So that's one con of the automated milking systems. It's obviously less labor and easier on the farmers, but there's no contact, so the farmer honestly has no clue what's going on with their cow. Whereas if they had the milking machine, the pulsating milking machine that they have to physically put on the cow, they would be able to see, this cow's not eating, this cow's not milking right, there's something wrong with it, and they can treat the cow.